Okay, so supply and demand. So supply and demand is obviously it's a pretty easy to understand factor. It's like if there's a town and there are 1,000 houses and there are 1,000 people that want to live in houses, then you have equilibrium. It's a very simple way of thinking about it. Mm-hmm. If you are in a town and there are 1,000 houses and then there are 1,000 people and then somebody creates another 1,000 jobs and therefore there are 2,000 people that want 1,000 houses, then you have twice as much demand as you have supply.
Yep.
Okay. And then that is going to be reflected in the sales volume data, and you'll be able to see what that trend is. You obviously want to look at trends, not static numbers, because data viewed in isolation is just going to steer you in the wrong direction every single time. So you need to be able to track the trends. You need to be able to see which direction it's going. But that alone is not going to give you the full story, right? So we'll talk about a couple of other key metrics that you can kind of layer up to start to paint a fuller picture. But supply and demand is a huge one. Now, the other thing, there's another. Do you have any questions on that?
No. So I just wanted to clarify, like, prices go up when there is more demand because it basically incites competition between the people who are bringing the demand.
Yeah.
So instead of having one person trying to get one property, there's two people trying to get one property. So there's a competition between them.
Exactly.
Not literally, but from a pricing perspective, that's what.
Well, pretty much literally, because what will typically happen is if there's more demand than supply, that's typically when you see markets moving to more auction-based sales as opposed to private treaties, right? Because they want to put people in competition. And then quite literally, the two people could be standing there and be in direct competition and push up the price to try and beat the other one. So yeah, you do get into direct competition, not even just metaphorical competition. And that's what pushes prices up.
Yep.
And the same thing goes on any other financial instrument or any other asset class. If there's an old saying in business that when demand exceeds supply, raise your prices. Simple, right? So, and that's the easiest way to make more profits in any environment is to charge more for the same thing rather than sell more of the same thing at the same price. Yep. So, the diamond market is a really great example of that. Apparently, there's no shortage of diamonds. They just deliberately restrict the flow of them to the market to keep the supply versus demand metric in the right place, to keep the value proposition the right way. Make sense?
Yeah. And then like the flip side of that, when we see when demand is exceeding supply, so then their prices are booming. And then that's when you start seeing new developments come in to try and build new lots to house the new people in those areas. But then at some point it tips back, right, where suddenly there's more supply for the amount of demand of people in that area or coming to that area. And then so there's less than one person per house available. So there's negative competition, if that makes sense.
It makes sense. It makes sense. And I like the way that you thought about it, because that actually leans into another key metric. So there's 5 that we want to talk about at the moment, right?